After watching this video that Mr. Hoca put up right here, I figured I'd do a reply to him. I'm planning on doing that because a lot of the stuff Steve said over the years when it comes to political end, he just parroted off the TV set or what have you. But I see the man's actually attempted to do something here. Now, myself, I would never want to run for a political position, understanding what's really going on and how bad it's become. I don't care if you're in a small town or not. I don't care if you're mayor of a small town. You don't stand much of a chance because the majority of everybody, from the top to the bottom, has already been bought and paid for. Very criminal system. Very criminal system. And a small town mayor isn't going to stand much of a chance. Even a big town mayor isn't going to stand much of a chance in today's society of effectively changing too much too big, because if you effectively change too much too big that could have a domino effect, well, then unfortunately you could become JFK'd. And I hate to say that, but that would be the reality of it. Some accident may happen to you. That's right. Maybe your brakes will fail. Maybe you have a business trip, plane will go down. Just the same, I don't want to say that stuff or be sarcastic that way, but the reality is the corruption is that far gone. And Steve sort of told you the corruption was that far gone without even saying it directly. He talked about the lies that was being... That's right. If you listen to him hard in here, he talked about the lies. He talked about the corruption. Okay? He talked about how he saw through it and how he's stopping them. When it comes to the sewer system, he talked about some things but you know what? The real thing that I totally, oh man, I gotta give Steve hands up here. He earned it. When he earns something, I'm gonna come forward and tell him great job. See, he got off his computer and he left his home, which is something I've been telling everybody you need to do. And he went out, and even he went door to door, and he tackled something he never done in his life with heart and ambition and drive, telling himself, I can do this. I can do this. And he gave it his all. And in my eyes, that makes Steve a winner. Not a loser, a winner. He just stepped himself up into a position that I fly him right along with anybody else that's willing to leave their dang computer, go out on the streets, because what Steve is saying is true. Can affect change. The only thing that's scary about affecting change, but it has to be done, is the corruption, as I said at the beginning, is so bad. So many people have been bought and paid for the tool. For the tool. From the top down. That if you affect good change in a smaller community, that's awesome. But just remember this. Good change sometimes can have a domino effect, and that's great too. That's awesome, right? But for the powers at the top that don't want this change, they got a lot of people in positions and higher positions, and they're not afraid to step in if they've already got a smaller community where they want it, and you start flipping the script on them, They're not afraid to step in and look for a way to set you up, to frame you, to take you out, to move you out of the way, to put roadblocks up in everything there forward to stop you from being able to move anymore forward, to arranging accidents, to arranging, oh, you prosecuted for something you never done. So many ways they'll go about it. Total corruption to shut you down. But this is part of fighting a war of evil versus good. And we are in a war of evil versus good. And yes, there's chances that come with all of this because this is what it is like when you're, so I wouldn't advocate to doing it myself personally because of my age and my health. If I was younger like Steve, with the drive he had, I already have the I don't care, the fuck you switch. Okay? And I think Steve has that I don't care, fuck you switch too. I really do. That when he sets his mind up that this is what's right, and this is why I'm doing this because this is what's right, and the corruption steps in his way, he's showing me that he's still willing to fight back and not run. I applaud Steve for that. I really do. I applaud him for that. So bravo, Steve. Great job. We all have to assume, which is wrong, why you took your videos down this last time. But you've done it so many times. This time, I think you probably had a pretty legit reason to take it down. Private took down whatever he did, okay? And I could see where, yes, somebody in a position would try to use Steve's videos. Yes, I can see that. As a weapon to stop him. Oh, yes. For dang sure that would happen. Oh, you know it would happen because that's how evil our world is. Even if it had nothing to do with what Steve's doing here at all, which his videos didn't, they would still try to use it as a ploy to try to ruin a reputation, to try to smear him, slander him. We live in a very wicked, evil society, okay? So, yeah, that part's true. I don't really get off on the gaming, okay? And this Galt, which is, the name he gave the video. But for what he talked about here, I applaud him. I give him all hands up. Because to affect change, to stop, see, this is, something Jerry and I have been talking about. That we don't see anybody doing. Out of the so-called truther community, and hundreds and hundreds of people up here speaking out, supposedly, about the corruption, you don't ever hear anybody talk about what are we going to do to stop it? How are we going to stop it? And I found nobody doing that. And then I turn around and I look, and by God, if SteveHoca isn't probably the first person out of all the truther community, if it's not SteveHoca, that is the very first person that I can honestly say by what he's just done in this video has stepped up and attempted to do just exactly that. Now, it may not be on some gigantic level, but you know what? It has to start somewhere. And it may have, okay, been a sewage issues converse the sewage system to the leach field to the home system, where everything in your septic system is in a leach field. I know what Steve's talking about there. It's just like the person who has a septic system on their property most likely has a well on their property and a pump pumping the water to their home. I know exactly what Steve's talking about here, and I'll tell you what, I had to give it to him. He earned it. I'm not an ass. I don't hate Steve Hoca. I've always known he's got a hot head. Sometimes it can be to his advantage when fighting a fight like this. I get a hot-headed too. I think everybody has their tendencies, right? But I'm also forgiving and I overlook because I recognize we're all human beings. We all make mistakes, right? Right? Including Mr. Hoca here. And I forgave him a long time ago. He's the one that's had the forgiving problem. See, all along it's been Steve that's had the forgiving problem. And when he slammed me for talking about bankers, which when I was talking about the bankers, everything I said was true, only showed to me that Steve's not aware. Steve hasn't done his homework. Okay? But now Steve has done something here that just really impresses the hell out of me because I've been saying this for a while. Jerry's been saying it. We look around and you think about all the years of both speaking out and wanting to see the corruption stopped. And out of all the thousands of truthers up here speaking out, nobody, and I mean nobody, talks about what can we do to stop them. Looks for ways to stop them. Okay? And yes, the problems are really big and deep, like them coming after our water rights. They need to be stopped. That's right, they do. The fake news, the propaganda being fed to the public needs stopped. And I could go on a list down a mile long of things that need to be stopped. But you can't tackle everything at one time, and you have to start somewhere. And even though Steve Hoca is only one person, he's trying to show you that one or two people can affect change. That is correct philosophy. He's not wrong about that. And within his small community, he's correct. Now, to affect change in something that's being done on a massive scale, like them stealing up our water rights, is going to take lots of communities having one or two Steve Hocas, one or two Steve Hocas, one or two Steve Hocas that's going to come out and affect change in this community and that community and this community and that community that's all going to go after the same thing. Then we could affect change on a bigger level to stop bigger things. But I have to applaud Steve because of all the thousands of truthers, I can't find nobody that's willing to talk about what can we do to stop it. And when somebody leaves their homes, as Jerry did, as I've been advocating for, to try to make change or to affect change, you get attacked hard for doing so. Steve Hoca represents somebody who left his computer, went out on the street, had the fortitude, had the drive, and had the attitude, and went door to door, and with no experience, never doing it in his life, researched, looked into, and went out and did. And that is more than thousands of truthers across the internet can ever claim they've done. And I'm saying that honestly to SteveHoca. Congratulations. Now, did I think SteveHoca would be the first one to rise up and do exactly what I'm saying we need to see more of, and lots more of, that we see nobody doing? Get away from your damn computers and get out there, because only on the streets, in public, can we affect change. And you have to start somewhere to make change, to escalate that change, to stop other things that are the other corruptions that are going on. SteveHoca has done some wonderful things here, and he deserves the hands up he's getting. He really does. He honestly deserves a big thanks for his time here. So, regardless of my comic little remarks at the end of my last video that was based on what SteveHoca's been about for a long time, SteveHoca's turned that around. I hadn't seen this video much before that because I kept getting interruptions as I was going to watch it. I attempted to watch this video. This is my third time before I could actually see it. The last two times I attempted to watch this video of his, it turned into a joke. If it wasn't a phone, it was somebody in the house. And then, of course, I've just spent the last week sicker than a dog with flu. Yeah, that's right, I caught the flu. I tested positive for influenza A at the doctor's office. It's really messed my whole week up. But anyhow, thank you, Steve. And I mean that. I just wish SteveHoca's temper would settle down some and he would do a little bit more homework like he done here. Because if he would, he could understand a little bit more deep what I've been saying all these years and talking about all these years. And if he would do that, he'd actually start seeing it himself. And then if you just don't sway, Steve, and you keep your mind focused on what you see and you do exactly what you've done in this community, by God, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. I'm telling you, Steve. And I applaud you for that, because you've already done something that Jerry and I have called and said, okay, and we don't see nobody doing. Nobody out of thousands of truthers. And we advocate for that happening because it needs to happen. And it's got to start somewhere. And lo and behold, right behind my back, here was not SteveHoca. All people, SteveHoca. And he's the one that went out and did it. Outstanding. I'm telling you, man, I love it. Outstanding. Outstanding work, Steve. I mean, it's really outstanding. Okay, and like I said, I'm not an ass. I forgive people, and I forgave Steve a long time ago. I just wish Steve had more fortitude to understand me a little better and not be so hot-headed and learn how to agree to disagree upon things and take the time to look. And if you find something that's legit, point it out to me, because I'm not an ass. If I see I'm wrong, I'm going to say sorry and apologize and own up to my mistakes. I'm not going to run from them. But it's no difference in Steve, man. We're all humans. It's up to Steve, man. It's not up to me to break the ice and play forgiveness. If you don't want to, it don't matter, one way or the other, because he's not going to affect me personally. But he deserves a big hands up for this. Okay, with no puns intended. Steve deserves it. He earned it, and he deserves it. And he is the first out of thousands and thousands of truthers. So impresses me. My God, did you impress me good with this one, Steve? Man, I'm telling you, right here. Follow Steve's example to the real truthers. Get off your computer. Just what Jerry and I have been telling you. Get on the streets. One or two people can affect change. I mean, I can never say any different because I've known that and I've known that and I've known that. Jerry knows that. Jerry knows that. We try to tell people that. But you can't get them off the computer. You can't get them to move. You can't even get them to talk. How he got these people together, I don't know. But I'm telling you what. Awesome, man. Awesome. That's something he might want to think about. Maybe he could show other people to do. Ways they could get people together within their community. Because he never done it before, and he done it. Which means, this just shows when you put your drive and your heart and your passion into something, what you can accomplish. And Steve just proved it to you right here. Because I'm sure if you could go, he even told you his hometown or where he's at. So I'm sure if you go look into what he told you, you're not going to find he lied to you. You're going to find he didn't story tell you. He told you the truth. I can tell you that right now. But anyhow, with that being said, great job, Steve. Awesome. Just wish you had a little bit of forgiveness in your heart. And you'd say hi again, but don't worry about it. If you can't do that, oh well. That's life, right, Steve? Just remember, I forgave you a long time ago. I'm not mad at you. I just don't stay mad at people. There's no point of it. Why would I burden myself down and do anything like that? But when you do something outstanding or a good job, I've always told you thanks for what you're doing when you do a good job. And this time you outdone yourself even. You outdone thousands of truthers on the internet. You put them all to shame. Serious, Steve, I'm not kidding you. You just put thousands of truthers to shame. And you did exactly what I've known all along. And that Jerry and I've talked about nobody's doing. And the whole time, you're the only one. The only one. So to all of you so-called truthers out there, let this guy be an example for you. And that's no lie. Because this is what needs to happen all over the United States.